This is Kasey Mathews, and I'll be reading from my book, Preemie. I still didn't want to see my daughter, but I knew it was time. I was too weak and sick to walk, so my husband Lee eased me into a wheelchair and helped me put a robe over my hospital gown. I felt old. The journey to the NICU felt endless. We had to pass all the other maternity rooms filled with balloons, babies, and cheery parents. Past the nursery filled with round bundles of joy letting out healthy cries. I did not belong on that floor. I belonged with the guilt-ridden, terrified moms who didn't even feel like mothers. I felt hollow and shaky and slouched down in the wheelchair, willing myself to disappear. My husband opened the door to the NICU. It took a moment to adjust to the glaring overhead lights. We moved forward into a large open room. The incessant beeping of alarms, the fluorescent lights, and the bustling of doctors and nurses felt overwhelming. The room smelled of hand sanitizer and fear. The 6 separate sections for each baby reminded me of stalls in a barn. 5 of them were filled. As I passed the other babies, I wanted to look at them, to speak to their parents. What happened? I wanted to ask, but I knew not to look. Lee had cautioned me on the way to the NICU about the hospital's privacy rights. We had to pretend those other babies didn't even exist. We had to ignore the parents, probably the only other people on earth who could actually understand how we were feeling. I believe in recreating my own truth, that I can alter the memory of an event to fit the picture I wish I'd seen. In this memory, I imagined a kind old nurse taking my hand and saying, "Honey, I want you to be prepared for some things. First of all, many babies have been born this early. A micro-preemie, that's what we call them when they're this little." She'd point to a picture and say, "See how everything is there, just tinier? Tiny fingers, tiny toes, but a real baby that just needs some time to grow and lots of love." She'd smile down at me with her crinkly eyes, and I'd smile back. "That baby needs love from her mama. I know you're scared, but deep down you have a lot of love for her. Deep down, it's there." She'd ask me to close my eyes and see my love for my baby. With my eyes still closed, she'd tell me all about the NICU, neonatal intensive care unit, she'd say, slowly and clearly. She'd tell me not to be afraid of the machines and noises. They're just there to let us know your baby's doing okay. As she spoke, my body would relax. "We'd love to give you the chance to see her when you feel ready," she'd offer. "First, why don't you think of some of the things you'd like to say to your new baby, things she'd like to hear?" She'd hand me a thick sheet of ivory-covered notepaper and a fine-tipped black pen. When I'd look unsure, she'd say, "You might want to tell her you're glad she's here, that you love her and know she's going to be healthy and strong." I would stare at the paper. "It won't be easy," she said as she'd pat my arm, "but those words are what your baby will need to hear." She'd tell me to include a list of all the things I'd like to do with my daughter when she got older. Like flying a kite at the beach, she'd say, or eating chocolate ice cream on a hot summer day. She'd squeeze my hand one last time, leaving me alone with my assignment. "Give me a call when you're ready to meet your baby," she'd tell me on her way out the door.